How's it going, everybody? Aaron Siegfried's Motorwerx here today. We are going to be taking you guys on a test ride on a unit that we're actually riding to our shop to put on our floor. Obviously, we'll need to clean it up. But at any rate, this 2011 Triumph Sprint GT 1050 is going to be hitting our website and our showroom floor here shortly. At any rate, nice condition bike, silver color, hard bags that are lockable on it, a couple features like that. But at any rate, let's show you what this one's all about. Okay, again, this is a 2011 Triumph Sprint GT with 1050 in it. This is a triple cylinder bike making 128 horsepower, 80 foot-pound of torque. It has liquid cooling, a 6-speed transmission, weighs 590 pounds, wet, has a 32.1 inch seat height and a 5.3 gallon fuel. And a 5.3 gallon fuel tank. That specs come from bikes, BIKEZ.com. Alright. This is the absolute first ride that I'm doing on this Triumph. Literally just picking it up now from a local dealer to us that they're going out of business, so we're helping them sell some of their bikes. So at any rate, this is my 100% first impressions on this motorcycle. You know, initially, I mean, it's comfortable. I will say this, I am laid over a little bit. It is more of a sport styled sport touring bike, absolutely without question there. So if you're looking at this Triumph Sprint and you're trying to find out information on why you should buy this or why you should buy that, you might also be looking at Kawasaki Concord, both the 1000 and the 1400. And you might also be looking at like the Yamaha, the FJ 1300. All those are great bikes, but the biggest thing, with the exception of the Concord 1000, all of those bikes are going to have bigger motors than this Triumph. But they're also going to have a little bit bigger frame than this Triumph, a little bit heavier than this Triumph. So this one may have a smaller motor, but it's also a more nimble machine. Just my initial impressions of this thing as far as the cockpit of it goes. I do like the analog speedometer. Typically you don't see that anymore. Most of your bikes nowadays are going digital speedometers. And the only thing my only real issue with digital speedometers is the fact that it doesn't give you true instant reading. It's always a couple mile per hour off as it climbs up through. I mean, if you're holding RPM, it'll be fine, but that actual acceleration, you don't exactly know where you're at. It skips here and there and does those things there. If you've ever ridden a digital speedometer bike, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, with this analog one there, also nice big tack front and center. And then you do have this information bubble over here. We're showing average mile per gallon, odometer, coolant temperature, and then also a fuel gauge. And I don't know if there's a way to cycle that. I hope there is. There we go. We have 2 trip meters and what else? We also have a range, and I don't know what that is. A clock, average mile per hour, top mile per hour. Somebody had this one going 104.9 mile per hour. Another clock, and then we're back to the instant mile per gallon. Okay, this thing's got a bunch of features on it. I'm not mad at it. As far as the controls go, conventional style controls, I do like these levers. They're nice and long. They're not necessarily the ugliest. Plus 2, you do have the adjusters on both the clutch and the brake. Not that stock adjusters give you all that much room, but it still gives you, without having to put extra money out of your pocket, a little bit of flexibility there. Another feature I do like is it does have a pass function on the high beam. You can see it lighting up on my gauge there. high beam, low beam switch. And I do like how these are a little bit different too. We've been getting into that a bunch here lately. The Moto Guzzi we have, and also this, where it's not just a conventional style button that everybody runs. They went out of their way and did something a little bit different. Super cool, dig that. We have turn signals just like normal, and then a horn. Just a normal horn. I was hoping for something a little more. Oh, God. Stop. On the right side grip, we do have a kill switch, and then we also have a start button. Other than that, everything else is pretty basic on this one. I think the biggest reason why people run into this, also too, I guess another bike you might be looking at would be the BMW series, the K1600s and the K1300s. The only thing I don't like about this necessarily is that it doesn't have a radio. Now that doesn't. As far as sport tours go, this thing is pretty torn down, or spec down. You don't have a radio, you don't have navigation, you don't have heated grips, which I mean you could add those if that's a killer, and you could add the other stuff too through you know just standard motorcycle GPSs or things of that sort. Audio might be a little bit of a task to add, but honestly, if you're sport touring, very often those guys are wearing helmets, full face helmets too. So Senna has a ton of great options available. Senna has a ton of great options available for those guys looking for either communication and also obviously music too. And the cool thing with your Senna stuff is you can actually charge it while you're going down the road. So battery life isn't really that big of a deal. But yeah, I mean, handling wise, this thing handles really nice. I'm really impressed with it. It is very sport styled for a sport touring. Definitely leaned over more, like I said in the beginning of the video, but you know, handling wise, it feels like a sport bike, it rides like a sport bike. So yeah, overall, ride-wise, really comfortable ride, really smooth ride too. I mean, this road that I took here today, especially, you know, pulling over there about 5 minutes ago, it's a pretty rough road. Not necessarily the nicest road to ride a bike on. I honestly didn't really notice any of the bumps. This thing takes the bumps really nice. So, as far as a comfortable bike to ride, just from your seating position, and then also too from your, you know, just the general ride of it, this thing does really well. Power-wise, I mean, this thing's got enough power. It boogies. It gets up to speed and does what it needs to do. So, overall, I mean, I don't think this is necessarily the best looking bike. Myself, personally, I'm a bigger fan of, like, the Concord. Honestly, as far as the sport touring class goes, the Concord 1400 is definitely my favorite sport touring bike. But this isn't far off. I'd like to have a split headlight in the front. And that's just not the style of a Triumph, so that's probably why I never owned one before. But it's not a bad looking bike. Honestly, it's actually a pretty decent looking bike. Overall, this one's in pretty good shape too. So another thing I do like about it is, I mean, and honestly now, even saying this and thinking about it as I'm saying it, you really see it more on the sport touring class. This thing being silver, you don't see a ton of silver bikes. Harley's done some over the years, but really only time you see silver bikes is on sport touring bikes. But it is kind of weird to see a silver bike, and this one is silver. I don't know. Overall, like I said, I really do. I actually am a big fan of this bike. I would take the bars myself personally. I would rather have the bars up a little bit, and that could be achieved. Typically, like rocks, or even on eBay, there's going to be solutions for it. But I guarantee you, somebody somewhere makes a riser that goes in here and lifts this up, even if it was just up a little bit. Not that it took out some of that laying over. I would be much more comfortable on this bike. Not to say not comfortable, that's not what I'm saying there. Not to say I'm not comfortable on it as I'm riding it now, but I could certainly be all that much more comfortable if I had like an extra 2 inches of rise on the bars. just to take some of that lean out. Now, shorter riders, you might be okay, and you might not want that rise. You might be okay with that drop. But for taller riders, I would say if you're getting a sprint and you want some more comfort, look into some bar risers of some form. Just gonna swing in here quick and grab a breakfast sandwich. Here's the big benefit of having a sport touring bike. You do get these saddlebags. Anyways, you get these saddlebags where you can put your couple belongings, and you're good to go. Sorry, I normally like to give you guys a more in-detail test ride. However, like I said, this is really just the first time I'm riding these motorcycles, so I'm not real familiar with it. I guess the one thing I could say about this is just my first initial impressions of it. Just bust down through some categories here. Performance wise, I'd say it's average. It's about what I expect out of a sport touring bike. I didn't get on and it didn't blow my mind, but I'm also not disappointed. So right in the middle there, good average sport touring power. As far as the handling goes, I am really impressed with that. I mean, this thing just sticks to the road nice. So I am actually above what I expected this bike to handle like. Ride wise too, didn't honestly have very high expectations for the ride of this thing, as far as its ability to take bumps and, you know, just the actual comfort of the ride. I didn't honestly expect a lot. I didn't necessarily say this is the best sport touring I've ever ridden, but it is a very comfortable bike to ride down the road. So I would say it's average. It's above what I expected, but it's average for what I would want to see out of a sport touring bike. As far as the overall looks of it, I went through that already. You know how I feel about it. It's not a bad looking bike. A lot of people will like it and say it's a good looking bike, but it's not my favorite style motorcycle, so kind of tough for me to give an unbiased opinion, especially when it comes to looks. As far as should you buy one or should you skip one, I would tell you to buy it. I think it is a good bike. I think it's a good comfortable bike. As far as bang for your buck, I mean, this one's going to go on our website in the $6,000 range. Not 100% yet. We still have to run some numbers and see exactly what we're going to do, but it'll be on there. I just want to show you guys, as we get parked here, I just want to show you guys one more feature I do like about this bike. And that is the fact that it does have a center stand. and it's actually not terrible to get on. If you made it this far with me, thank you so much for watching. As always, hit that like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this Triumph Sprint GT Sport Touring bike. And if you can, hit the subscribe button. You can stay up to date with everything going on here at Siegfried's Motorwerx. As always, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.